sorry, you're on stage otherwise. A little more. Ask him to go around the corner, and if you go that way, a little more, please. I'm sorry.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because you're like, it's distracting. You have a very beautiful face, but we have the movie star here, you know. Thank you.
Like taking off a portion of it or something. Right.
Oops. That's not a good move with the camera. Sorry. Along center. That's good. That works. That works. Just for you right there. Center down. Actually got rid of the shoulder. That's good.
So this evening we're learning the Rebbe's Dvar Malchus from the year Toshin non Aleph, and we're learning the Sicho that the Rebbe said on Shabbos, which was the same kriyas that we have this year here by us. It was Shabbos Shiva also B'Tammuz. That's to say that the actual date of Shiva also B'Tammuz came out on came out on Shabbos, and over there it was Parsha Balak, not Parsha Bilam like it is by us, because they're until Parsha Matzah, they're a week behind it. And so that's the Sicho of Shiva also B'Tammuz Shechal Diyosh B'Shabbos Toshin non Aleph, and our learning is taking place in the Beis Knesset Tzedek Sher Be'ira Kodesh Atika Tsfat, and this evening is Moitoi the Yatoi of the Erech HaKodesh, Moitoi Chamisha also B'Tammuz, Sicho also B'Tammuz Toshin Ayin Tet. So, like we've done in recent weeks, we'll try to relate more to the second half of the Sicho than the first half, because it's a very long, complex Sicho, because we've already dealt in previous years, we've already dealt with the first part of the Sicho, and we'll try to emphasize some of the points and the inyanim that they arise in the second part of the Sicho. Just to give a brief resume of what we had in the first part of the Sicho, Rabbi learns that when a tzom is a tzom sheyeh chutz miyom kippurim, then the tzom is nidche mipnei haShabbos, and we don't fast on that Shabbos. On the contrary, we anoyeg all the inyanim of chila v'shtiya b'Shabbos and all the inyanim of oineg Shabbos b'miluyam, despite the fact that it's Shiva also B'Tammuz, or for that matter, Tisha B'Av. What in a kriyas of this nature, Tisha B'Av also falls out on Shabbos. That's to say that the whole Schola of the Bein Hasmanim, the whole Schola of the Bein Hasmanim is on Shabbos, and the siyum of the whole Beina, not Beina Zmanim, I'm sorry, Beina Meitzorim, and the whole siyum of the Beina Meitzorim was also on Tisha B'Av, and that also falls out on Shabbos. So the Rebbe made the point that we can understand in two ways when a fast like Shiva Osa B'Tammuz is nidche alidei Shabbos, I can't even, is nidche alidei Shabbos, as what is the pshat that they what is the pshat that it's nidche? So we can say that Parshas Advarim, since a fast of that nature has in it a connection and a remembrance of Dvarim Bilti Ritzuyim, all sorts of things not so good that happened to the Jewish people, and Shabbos is a day of Oineg, Karasal Shabbos Oineg, and also a Yom Simcha, and Mipnei Kach, a day of Achila V'Shtia V'chol Inyanim Anoidim Mamish Linyan Ataynes. Therefore, they have the power to, as it were, put away the negative aspect of what is really a tainus, and we don't allow the inui or the unpleasant tzad of what a tainus implies coming in to disturb or in any way upset the simcha and the oineg of Kiyam Mitzvah Shabbat. That's one way we can understand. The other way we can understand it is that the Rebbe says that it's not that we just don't fast if it comes out on Shabbos, but we are noyeg all the dinim of Tainug on Shabbos and all the inyonim b'shleimas. Well, that tends to indicate that there's something in Shabbos which is mahapik, how do you call it, reverses lagamri, the whole nature or the whole etzeminim of a fast. It's like mahapichet into a dovatay. The Rambam brings down B'Shem HaGimora and Masechta Rosh Hashanah that the Yosid Lovei, all the fasts, except for Yom Kippur. Yom Kippur is anyway a good day. All the fasts are going to be Ne'afach L'Yomim Toivim or Moyadim Toivim. The Rambam finishes all the dinim of Hilchas Tinius. He finishes with that statement, which means that when Moshiach will come, all these days are going to be turned into Yomim Toivim. And we find a remnant to that in the Lashon of the Gemara. But since I want to get towards the end of towards more the second part of the Sicho, I won't be too married now and all that. However, to say there's also a chocha from the Lashon of the Gemara. So the Rebbe says that we could say that when a fast day like Shiva Osa B'Tammuz comes out on Shabbos, then Shabbos has the ability to be mahapik that in the way that it's going to be liyosid lovei. In other words, that since Shabbos, it's the very essence of Shabbos, is connected with the Gula Shlema. And therefore we see that we say on Shabbos, that Shabbos Siyu Manucha L'chai Yilom, V'Loshen HaMishnah, Masechta Tomid, where the Mishnah brings down that was like the Siyum of the Shir Shel Yom that the Levim used to say in the Beis HaMikdash on Shabbos, that it's a Yom Shukurei Shabbos U'Manucha L'chai Yilom. If that's the case, and there's something in Shabbos, like the famous Mizmor that they sing on Shabbos, that the Manucha of Shabbos is Me'ein Olam Habo. Me'ein Olam Habo Yom Shabbos Manucha. So we see that Shabbos is Mamisha Bechina of Olam Habo. And it's well known, the Rosh Olam Habo is referring to Yemoiz Mashiach and even Tchias Amazing. So therefore, the Rebbe said there's something in Shabbos which is in the Geula. So it has the power to reveal on a fast day how it's going to be also nefach into a Yom Geula and a Yom Tov and a Moed Tei when Mashiach will come. And that's also Nirmaz in the number Shiva also, 17th of Tammuz, that Shiva also is Bigamatra Toi. In other words, that indicates that really the Pneumias of Shiva also Tammuz is anyway Toi. That's even on a so-called ordinary Shiva also Tammuz. How much more so when it comes out on Shabbos? The Shabbos has the Koyach to be Mahabarat altogether and to turn it into a Me'ain Losid Lovi, how it's going to be Losid Lovi, Yinavim Yomim Tevim, Omayadim Tevim. That's how the Rebbe learns. The Pneumias take a shot in Shivos, Shechal Yezba, Veshabe. The Rebbe develops on that theme all the way through the Sicho. That is like the central point. That when any of these fasts comes out on Shabbos, then Shabbos has the ability not only to push it away, but Shabbos has the ability to alter it and be mahapachet in its very essence and turn it into what it's going to be, Liyosi Lovi. So Kundo is that particular Shabbos has a aspect and a trace of the Gula Shlema more than any other Shabbos, even though every Shabbos has got a trace of it. Over here there's an extra, as it were, aspect to the whole idea of the Gila of Liyosid Lovi, being revealed through the Kedusha of Yom HaShabbat. So therefore, says the Rebbe, that's the koyach of Shiva Oza, but Tammuz Shechal Liyay B'Shabbos. So that's basically the central theme behind the whole thing. So what I want to do now is on page 384, I want to start in the latter part of the, so that we can maybe get towards the messages that the Rabbi brings out towards the end of the Sicho, which we've never really openly dealt with them in one of the classes. So therefore, we'll start with Geula Ketikun Hagoras, or Geula Keinyan Befnei Atzmo. That's 384 down towards the bottom of the page. So the Rebbe says that when Shiva also occurs on Shabbos, then it can be in the Chutz La'aretz, here in Eretz or not, but in Chutz La'aretz, it can be Pasha Balak, which it was on that particular year when the Rebbe said the Sicho. So the Rebbe said that there's something very special about Pasha Balak, the brachas and all the central, as it were, themes that occur, which are mostly blessings that were said over to the Jewish people, are all said by Bilam Harosha. In other words, that the etzem toichan of the whole story with Bilam is the Yafik, how Hashem reversed all of the inyanim, ability, retuim, what Bilam was trying to give over, and Hashem reversed them all together to bracha. So he said in the same way, when Shiva also Tammuz falls out on Shabbos, then the Pasha of Balak has the power to assist in this, reversing it. So that's the whole theme of Pasha Balak, is a reversal. He wanted to say, Kach, and Hashem not only didn't allow him to say it, but Hashem reversed it altogether into Torah. If we look carefully in Pasha Bilam, then we find that there are certain passages that the Rambam writes that's where it's written the coming of Melech HaMoshiach in the Chumash. He said the Nevi'im talk a great deal about it, but in the Chumash, the Nevuah telling us about the coming of Mashiach, the Tafkim Bilam's brachas. And so from that we see a tremendous koyach of the hafika, of the reversal from one thing to the other altogether. Davkim Pasha Balak, and that's shayak to this whole inyan of Shiva also Batamas turning over and reversing into a inyan of Geula Kipshute, not just down. And that's what we see that later on in the Torah, in Sefer Dvarim, when it mentions about what happened with Bilam, it says, "Vayafoik Hashem Elokecha lecho es haklol livrocha," that the Eibishter reversed the whole of the kol livrocha. So when Shiva Osav B'Tammuz comes out on Shabbos, that's like a embodiment and an actual living through of that whole inyan of Vayafoik Hashem Elokecha lecho. That's what we've been dealing with up to now. Just before we go a little bit further, I just want to mention one more point, and that is that the Rebbe says that these Yomim Toivim, which will be from the fast to the Yosid Loveh, when Mashiach will come, they will be more than the Yomim Toivim we have now. They will be much more in their Toikev Gilui than the Yomim Toivim that we have at the moment. So he said, how does he know that? How do we know that? Because it's brought down that there's a pasuk which tells us when Moshiach will come, the Moyadim, the Yom Tovim that we have now, Yibotlu, they won't be there anymore. So it's not the pshat that they'll become batil, that we won't keep them, but they will, the Gilui of Moshiach will be so great that the Yom Tovim will be a bit, as it were, dim, they'll be a little bit sort of low tone because they'll be so bottled in the tremendous oil of Mashiach. But if we say, the Rambam writes that when Mashiach will come, these days of the fast will turn into Yomim Tovim, mashma that they'll be real Yomim Tovim even then, which means that they'll be bigger than the Yomim Tovim that we have now. They'll be greater than the Yomim Tovim we have now, and therefore, even if that's what's written, that Purim won't be bottled, and Purim will be, because of the great light that's hidden in Purim, it'll be Maya even when Mashiach. The Rebbe says that these Yomim Tovim, which will come from the fast, they will be stronger even than Purim. That's what he writes, yeah. Or he says Purim, even stronger than Yom Upward. So we're building up a massive case for the greatness of these days, what it's going to be Liosid Loveh. And so our case includes the fact that when it falls out on Shabbos, that we already have a ma'ena because of the koyach of Shabbos. We've already got that, as it were, of a gilui. And so therefore, it comes out a very interesting point, halacha, what the Rabbi mentions. I think it's just of great interest. It's worthwhile mentioning it. And that the Rabbi says, not only you're not allowed to fast on Shabbos when it falls out, Shiva of the Tammuz, and you have to eat all the things that you normally eat on Shabbos. He said, since it's going to be like a greater gila, it's like the gila of the Yom Tovim, how they're going to be Liosid Loveh, maybe you should eat more than you do on a normal Shabbos. You follow? And the Rebbe said, maybe it's possible. He only says maybe. He doesn't want to, make that a berurah call Israel. But he said maybe it's proper to say that in each of the sudas you should add a whole portion or some inyan you should add into your suda. Look for the fact that this is another gather or another yontiv altogether. That's going to be Liosid Loveh, and you should add that into what you normally eat on Shabbos. Yeah, that's one on that the Rebbe never used to almost eat anything Shabbos by day. And he's telling people, the Rebbe writes in the Sicho that you have to eat basar shamen, you have to eat that he called fatty meat, and you have to drink the best wine that there is. And so the Rebbe said that maybe on this Shabbos, you have to drink the choicest wine that's available. Yeah, they eat a lot of Borscht Shomei and all sorts of good desserts. Pack away the COVID, the fact that it's a yontif, how it's going to be Leosi Dover from the tiniest. But the Rebbe himself, there were sometimes when the Rebbe forbringt on these types of Shabbos that they didn't notice him eat Shabbos by day. And there was a whole thing once at after the Rebbe's Stalkers, and the Rebbe used to more or less eat on his own in the office. And he didn't even go into the library where they used to be. He and the Rebbe together. He used to eat in his office. As there were some Shabbos that he never asked for anything on Shabbos by day. Shabbos night he used to eat a little something. Over Shabbos by day he didn't eat anything. So once the Chassidim decided that they wouldn't ask him. They're not asking any questions. And when the Rebbe went up after the Fabrin into his office, Label Grona walks in with a whole tray, fish and flesh and a bit of warm cholent and cholent. The Rebbe didn't eat cholent. It's a fellow, but kachazeh. And he had a bit of warm cholent, everything on the plate and the tray, and he gives it to the Rebbe. So the Rebbe looks at it, the Rebbe said to him, the Rebbe made him a sign, what's this, Yes. So Label said, the Rebbe said, you have to eat, On Shabbos you have to eat, particularly these Shabbos, you have to, So the Rebbe said, So the Rebbe got up and washed his hands. And Label saw the Rebbe eat a bit of challah, so he was happy already. So he came in later, and there was a little bit of the fish. The Rebbe had eaten a little bit of the fish, and taken a piece of the plate, a little bit, but he didn't eat the chocolate. The chocolate over, and it was more or less a full tray, like when he brought it in. So he made the Rebbe a sign, and the Rebbe just looked at him, sort of went like that back at him. So it's a Rebbe, you can't know what is the whole story. But the Rebbe in the Sicho, he tells everybody that you have to eat Parshas Shomein, you have to drink the best wine, you have to add a whole extra portion into the Suda. Yeah, the COVID days in Yon. I don't see anybody particularly excited, but I find that not because I want to eat another portion, but I find that exciting. If the Rebbe should, you should come up with such a chiddush thing, So here we are now on 384. So the Rebbe says, "But Noisav la ma'alosa shel Shabbos beklal b'yamei bein ha'matzarim." Beklal, it's well known, the famous statement from the Tzemach Tzedek, that any Shabbos that falls out during the 3 weeks has got a very special aspect to it. And he says it's like the Hakdomas Refuah Lamacha. It's like it goes l'chatchila and takes away the whole reason for the fast and everything. However, he said there's a yesh nam severs b'kriyah. He said there's a special mile in this kriyas when Shiva also falls out on Shabbos. Shebo tchilas yamei bein hamitzarim. That's when the whole yamei hamitzarim begins. And right here, the Rebbe has a very interesting footnote, and that is, when do the 3 weeks start on a Shabbos like that, kriyas like this? Do they start on Shabbos? Or do they only start the first day of the Bein HaMitzorim is only Sunday? Because since Shabbos cancels the whole Ina, it's killer they don't start. The Rebbe writes a footnote of that. Of Ochaponim, the Rebbe says that here you got the beginning of the Bein HaMitzorim, Yudzayin B'Tammuz, Shabbos. V'kein siyumam b'tisha b'av. The finish of the whole 3 weeks is also on Shabbos. When it falls out like this, that's the way it comes out. So there is a beklal mavua b'chsedes, shegimel shabbosei b'yamei bein hamitzorim, hein elu hapoyelois es atikon shel yomim elu. It's famous Torah from the Rabbi, the Tzemach, that the shabboses that fall out during the Bein HaMitzorim, they're the Ika, Kilo Tikon, that give us the Koyah to be Matakin, the whole thing. The Ubazeh, Kayim Hevdil, Ba'ivan Atikon. However, he said there's a difference between the sort and the manner of the Tikon. Ima Shabbos Chala Betchilas Man, Oy Be'emto. The Rebbe says there's a difference if it just comes out of Shabbos in the middle of the 3 weeks, or Shabbos that comes out at the beginning. It's the beginning of the 3 weeks. He said, but Kfiyasa regular means the ordinary 3 weeks when our Shabbos comes out in the middle. Kasher Tchilas Yemei Bein HaMetzorim Hi B'Yom Chol. Oliachim became Bo HaShabbos Hoy Pa'elas as a Tikon. He said, Hari said, but even shall Tikon Urafua Habol Rapi Esamako V'Hamaklo. So the Rebbe says here a very profound thing. Einochanami, it's a Rafua, but it's a Rafua. When do you need a Rafua? When you're already sick, you're already suffering a bit. Which means that since there's already been a few days of the Bein HaMitzorim, and now you come into Shabbos, then the Shabbos is Marapei, what's been happening the last few days, been Bein HaMitzorim, which means that there's a certain trace of the illness is there. However, he wants to say, Rapei is a mako v'hamaklo. Ad koshi he bik al atzad hashlili shel Bein HaMitzorim. Yes, we have to fix that up. So the Shabbos helps us do that, and the Shabbos makes it better. He said, Shoina hadova kasher, Shabbos he miyad v'reises yemei Bein HaMitzorim. However, when the Shabbos comes out, mamish at the beginning, like we have now, Sha'oz ad kosher melachatchila yalo inyan aychiyuvi shebiyomim ha'ila, like we spoke. That indicates only a positive aspect of how they're going to be liyosid loving. So he said that's already a different Indian altogether. Atoikan apenimi shalahem kahachona legiula shaoz yehovku lemeyadim uliyomim shel sosain v'simcha yemei sosain v'simcha. Over Melchim said, when it occurs in the middle, you've already had a bit of the Bein HaMitzorim, and you have to be healed from it. So that helps you to be matakin. But you've already been a bit, as it were, sick, and you've made yourself better. You've got new koyah. But he said, when you start off, Malachatchila, and you already lost it love, and you got the koyah of how these things are going to be, Liosid love, then right from the beginning, you don't get sick per cloud. You're right into it, right from the beginning. Yeah. So he said, "V'kamin zeh boli dei bitu b'Parshas Shavua, Parsha Balak." So the Rebbe says that this inyan expresses itself very much in the Shabbos, which is Parsha Balak. By us, it's Parsha Pinchas, but by them, it's Parsha Balak. So he said, "Kiyadua amoyadim shel kol hashana yesh lem shaykas loish aparchias shecholes behem." That's a famous word from the Shloach HaKodesh. That the Shloach HaKodesh tells us that any time you read in the Torah, doesn't matter when, you read about a certain yontiv, even though that's not the time for that yontiv, it's a sign that nonetheless there is a connection to that yontiv when you read it. So he said, Hine benegel yemei Bein HaMitzorim, aparchias echelis b'yomim Elohein, chachalois, I'm sorry, that they occur b'yomim Elu, ein matais masei udvarim. the kasher, matis or masay, mechuborim, yeah, azai, gam Parsha Pinchas, Parsha Pinchas, nikras, nikras, b'yamei bein hamitzarim. He said, when, how do you call it, Parsha Balak is, like, according to the way it is in America, it's the Parsha of Bein, how do you call it, beginning of Bein HaMitzorim. Then Parsha Pinchas is part of the, but here, Parsha Pinchas is not really part of the Bein HaMitzorim. It's right at the beginning, and Parsha Balak is even before you get to the Bein HaMitzorim. You know? So he says, kasher mazon gam azay Parsha Pinchas nikrais b'yamei Bein HaMitzorim. Ach Parsha shelafanei Parsha Balak le'elam eina chola b'tok yamei Bein HaMitzorim. Never occurs. Ela kol ha'yesa b'yom harishon b'yud zayin b'tamuz kasher oz ki omer hatzom nidche liyom rishon. That's where the Rabbi stresses the whole question that he has. If we say that Balak never really occurs on Bein HaMitzorim, here it does. He said, no, maybe it's not really Bein HaMitzorim. It's the first day of the Bein HaMitzorim, but maybe not. Maybe it's not considered Bein HaMitzorim. You follow? Which means that it'll remain that Balak is always outside the Bein HaMitzorim, and Pinchas can be not always, but he is very often inside. But by us over here, it's a different chesbon because we have Parsha Pinchas as this first one. So it's betoichen ha'inyan ha'pnimi. So he says, up shabsei shebashtei ha'parshas Balak u'Pinchas nirmaz inyan ha'giyula. He said in the two parshas of Balak u'Pinchas we find a remez to the inyan ha'giyula. As he already mentioned earlier, on yesh hebdel beinayim. But nonetheless, there's a difference between Balak and Bilam. He said, what's the difference? And he says, Agiula sheva Parsha Pinchas amoifia betokia bein hamitzorim. But that usually comes out, like in this case in America, that's the way it is, which occurs bein hamitzorim. Harihi ba katikan urufua le'inyan hagolas amitbatei b'yamei bein hamitzorim. With all of its milas, and even though it's indicative of the Geula and everything of its coming, as it were, already as a tikkun of a sort to what is already the Yemei Bein HaMitzorim. So Einachanami, it's got Ramazim to Geula, but that's how the Geula comes out in the actual Yemei Bein HaMitzorim. Therefore, it's like a form of a tikkun. However, he says, Masha Inkein Hagula, Sheva Parsha Balak, B'yoisa Nailis Miyamei, Bein HaMitzorim, it's higher and beyond the Bein. It doesn't actually occur. It occurs right at the beginning, but that's not really part of it. That's what the Rebbe said. Koidemas Aleihim, Ariad Goshi, Lo Yaratikun Vayetzia Meil Goles, Ela al Shleimas HaGiula, Ki Inyan Naila Lekisha Atzmai, Sheesh Lakto Elov, Afimoyas Goles Klau Klau. In other words, as the Rebbe said, the Inyan from Balak is Lechatkila Riva. It talks about the Geula without having gone into the Bein HaMitzorim. So going into the Bein HaMitzorim is indicative of entering the Golas. Yeah. The Vamela, therefore, Parsha Pinchas, which talks about the Geula, is Abu became a tikkun for the Golas. Over here, you're talking about the Mila of Geula, even if you didn't have Golas, you're not talking about the Golas, you haven't gone into the Bein HaMitzorim. Over Mela, he said the Mila of Parsha Balak, when it comes out of that, it's like as it were the Etzem Tahara. And the Rebbe used the expression in the Sicho the etzem toiha of the Yola is nirmas in Parshas Balak when it comes out Shiva Osavatam. That's what he said. The etzem in it, even without thinking about the Golem. And he said, V'omnom. He said, Aina nika b'feirish mitaken aremas l'gola shebeParsha zu. He said, B'shoinem meParshas nitzovim. So he says, there are two places where the Torah talks about the Gula openly. He said one is in Parshas Balak, it's right here. The other one is in Parshas Nitzovim, right at the end of the Torah. In the last Parsha of the Torah, what is written over there, V'shov Hashem alakecha shvuscho. Yeah, Hashem is going to bring you back from all the Amim Asher hidiacho od chashama, which he's driven you out over there, and you've been spread out amongst all the peoples, and he's going to bring you back to Eretz Yisrael, right? That's written in Parshas Nitzov. And what's written over here in Parshas Balak is the two Mashiachim. The Rambam says that there's two Mashiachim, Nirmas, in Parshas Balak. However, he doesn't mean Mashiach ben Yosef and Mashiach ben David. He means David HaMelech, and it's one of the Shittas Rambam, is that the two Mashiachim, the first Mashiach is David, and the second Mashiach is Ben David, the one who will be from his household, Melech HaMashiach. And therefore, when he says two Mashiachim, he means David and Melech HaMashiach. Yeah. And he said both of them are nirmas in Parshas Balak. And he said, therefore, it's written, for example, just to give you a dogma, it's written the Dorach Koicha Miyankoi, the Kom Shevet Yisrael. So Dorach Koicha Miyankoi is David HaMelech. The Kom Shevet Yisrael is Melech HaMashiach. You put everywhere where there's like a doubling of Loshen, the Rambam points out a reference to David HaMelech and to Melech HaMashiach. So therefore, he said, what's the difference? He said the difference is that in Parshas Pinchas and even in Parshas Nitzovim, what the Rambam brings that also. When he talks about the Rayas Minatera, he brings that also. And what is interesting, he brings that before he brings the two psukim from Bilam. Everybody said, but that's back to front. That's in Parshas Nitzovim, and the two Mashiachim are in Bilam. Yeah. So he said, what is the Rambam? So the Rebbe says it's understood. Because that one, Shov Hashem alakecha es shvuscha, that's talking about there's already a Golas, and Hashem is taking you back from the Golas. That's talking about a tikkun, albeit very elevated, it's Moshiach, but it's how Moshiach is a tikkun to the Golas. He said the two Mashiachim, and what's going to happen with them, that's talking about the etzem maila of the Geula b'fnei atzmai, the etzem inyan. Who is going to bring the Geula, on how's that going to happen? We're not relating to the Golas at all. So he said that's why the Rambam brings the two of them in that order. First the one later in the Torah, and then the one of the Shnei Mashiachim. So the Rebbe says that's the difference. So he said, Naila l'kashiachme sheyesh l'actor love afim loyas a God's cloud. That's Parshas Balak. He said, "Va'omnom ha'ina nika b'feiros miteichen haremes l'geuda shebeParsha zo, v'sheina meParsha Nitzovim, shebo isekes atera b'geuda yekemiflat miteichen haGolas." It's a way out of the Golas. It says that everybody's spread out all over the world, and Hashem's going to bring you back. But remember, he's talking about the Metzias of the Golas and how he's going to save you from that situation. A miflot is like a rescue point. So he said, "V'shov Hashem alakecha es shvuscha miyagolas." He said that's in Parshas Nitzovim. However, he said, "Hareva Parshas Balak cloud." In Parshas Balak, Bilam, he doesn't mention the whole inyan of the goddess. Adarabah, Hamadubahu al Matovim, Manailim, Shalom Yisrael. It's talking about what will be the tremendous elevation which will occur to the Jewish people through the two Mashiachim, through David HaMelech, and later through Moshiach ben David. He said, therefore, if you look carefully, you see that in Parshas Balak, Bilam not only mentions the two Mashiachim, but he also mentions Hein am lebodod yishkoin u'v'goyim lo yishcha shav. That when Mashiach ben David will come, then the Yidden will be completely independent of all the Goyim. They won't be reckoned amongst the Goyim. And the truth of the matter is that even before Mashiach comes, they're not really reckoned amongst the Goyim. But then they won't be reckoned klal amongst the Goyim, because they're going to be a whole amazing entity all on their own right, the Jewish people. And therefore, says the Rebbe, v'chein behem sharab psukim, ad l'nervua al melech HaMoshiach, arin avuloi ater, I'm going to show you him, but not right now. Ashurein avuloi karov, I'm going to reveal him to you, Ashurenu, it's not going to be immediately. That's referring to Melech HaMashiach. So he said, Dora koicha miyangiv v'kol shevet miYisrael. That's David and Melech HaMashiach. He said the way the Rambam uses the order of the way he describes it is it's clear that he's talking first about a koyak of getting you out of the Golas. And he said, that's shy to Pinchas. That's really Nirmas in Pinchas. He said, over the inyan, over the Maila of the Golah. What is the greatness of, sorry, not Golah, Gula. What is the greatness of the Gula? And what is going to be the situation of the Jewish people without the whole inyan of the Golas, just purely the Maila of the Gula? Well, that's Parshas Balak. And that's going to be brought about through the two Mashiachim. He said, meaning Parshas Balak, Mashkira Hatera Es Yitzias Mitzrayim. He said, amongst the different brothers that Bilam was applied and he was forced to give, he also mentioned the fact that the Avis took the Yidden out of Egypt. So he said, what's that got to do with it? So he said, Keil Moitzion Mimitzrayim. He said, like the Novi says, so he said, I know, Shemaduba ala gula k'toisefes v'ashloma l'gulas mitzrayim. So he said, when the Novi says, then he means, I'm going to show you niflois, like when I took you out of Egypt. But those niflois are going to be greater because they're going to be niflois, even the Gavi Meites from the earth Mitzrayim. So he said the fact that he mentioned the whole interview, it says Mitzrayim in Parshas Balak when he's talking about a remez on the Gula, that's a sign that it's also going to be that way, that it's going to be similar to the going out of Mitzrayim in the sense it'll be a complete Gula, but it'll be with niflois. Harbi is a gedalim, the what it was then. That's why he mentions the middle, the whole area tears Mitzrayim. So he says, Kamoisha Nama, Ainu Shemaduba ala Gula Ketoisefer. The Gula is an addition and Ashloma Legulas Mitzrayim. Afim Loi Hoyu Be'emsa Kolagodia Shebentayim. The whole thing is purely the Maila of the Gula. It's well known, the Pshat in the famous posik, which is much later, and we read on Pasha Masei, but it's written Ela Masei, B'nei Yisrael Yotzu Me'eretz Mitzrayim. These are the journeys of the Jewish people that they left, or they got out of Eretz Mitzrayim. So the famous kasha is there was only one journey and they were already out of Mitzrayim. Why the whole Mem Beis, Mem Masois are all called Asher Yotzu Me'eretz Mitzrayim. The teaches to get out of Egypt, Pshute, is only one journey. But then you got to keep going upwards the whole time. You have to keep adding and increasing and going until you reach Yarden Yericho. What Yarden Yericho is a remez of the Tachlis HaShleimus of the Geula. From that we see that every step has to be a step going upwards and an aliyah legabi the previous inyan. You follow? So that's the whole inyan of Parshas Balak. That everything is just the whole inyan of the Geula is an aliyah legabi what was before. That's the emissary music of Geula. That's the emissary concept of what Geula is all about. So he said, "Shalachira al derech pshat, harei totally hikoseh maasei b'nei Yisrael." That's all. Yes, Yitzia Mitzrayim Atzmoyes v'Maasei Echa bilvad. Only one journey. He said, "V'shara masois eim machmas." I'm sorry, eim mitachana achas ye'el habua. They're from each camping to the next one. Yeah, eim paru mitzrayim. They're not going out of Mitzrayim. You've already gone out of Mitzrayim. Ela she'omnam kol ha'masois ada achrin shebehem arim es lamasa shel hagula asida kulam eim hemshach echad shel yitzia. You're always going out of Mitzrayim. If you're already out of Mitzrayim, what does it mean you're going out of Mitzrayim? What it means is that even though you've got very high through the next journey, well, that's a Mitzrayim, like going higher. You can go higher and better than that. So that one is like a Mitzrayim, like what you could really achieve. The whole thing is just going out the whole time from one level to the other. So the Rebbe said that's a remez to the Geula, B'li Golos, B'li Klum. That's the Etzem Meiler of what the Geula is, of going higher and higher and higher. B'li Sofer. That's the whole thing. So therefore he says, "Sha'onam kol ha'masois ada achrin remez u'mas Yilashid. Kulam eim hemshech echad shel yitzias Mitzrayim shebehemshech eileyo misalim midarga ladarga aliyah legula ha'asida shoz nishlemes ha'yitzias Mitzrayim." Then that's the ultimate going out of Mitzrayim, and that's the ultimate perfection of the Gula Shlema, without any worry about Golas. We're just going higher and higher and higher. And the whole Golas is something we only mentioned later in Parshas Pinchas, or we mentioned it in Parshas Pinchas, but also with a tremendous Chatchila river getting out of it. But nonetheless, it's a form of a Rufu Bechoza. Yeah. Over here, we're talking only about the Maila of going further and further and further the whole time. And that's the inyan of the two Mashiach. David is a tremendous koyah, and he had redeemed all the Jewish people from all their enemies, and he got everything ready for the Beis Hamikdash. The building of the Beis Hamikdash was through Shlomo HaMelech, his son. And therefore the Rambam writes that Moshiach has to be from Mishpachas David HaMelech Shlomo. He has to be from both families, both from David HaMelech and from Shlomo. From West, because David HaMelech and Shlomo represent this square of going upwards and upwards the whole time. Melech HaMoshiach is the Tachlis HaShleimus. And the Rambam mentions both of them, and he says that's the Mokkeh in the Torah, the second one, for the whole inyan of the Geula Mitzvah. So with that, the Rebbe learns that the Rambam is telling us and hinting to us a whole new Seder, that you've got to be going higher and higher and higher and higher the whole time. And don't worry about the Golas. If you go like that, you're already living with the Geula Shlema. And that's the whole idea. That's the tachlis of everything, is to live with the Geula Shlema. So, the Rebbe said, come to us, that we found every time a new mile in every stage where we've gone. So the Rebbe said that was for all the Doros. The Rambam Paskin way back, he was tens and tens of generations ago, the Rambam. So the Rebbe said, even in our day, we've had in our generation, we've had a whole new movement forward, which indicates this whole koyach of just going higher and getting out the cloud, the whole goddess, and the greatness of the Gula Bilvat. And he said, what is that? Yud Beis Yud Gimel Shalom Aleichem. And he said, normally speaking, when I say normally speaking, Tammuz was always considered by Yidden as a not very happy month there. Tammuz was always, people say, oh, that's the beginning of the 3 weeks. That's, Shivas of Tammuz, not a good chayt. So the Rebbe said of Yud Beis Tammuz, a few days before Shivas of Tammuz, of Yud Beis Tammuz has made the whole Kodesh of Tammuz into Kodesh Hagir, Kodesh Hagir. And what it poiled is a beetle in the whole inner of communist Russia was a beetle in Etzem Minyonim. They arrested him and they drove him out of Russia. They had to get rid of him. And they cooperated in all he's going out, and they gave all the Svarim, the Hebrew of what they thought originally. So the Rebbe said that's the emerson, genuine Indian of Geula, but Taharosa, the Amidus Indian of Aliyah and Bittul of all the Dwarim, Abilti, Rutsuyim, but even that they have no place anymore, and a whole new Yontav, a Yontav that hasn't been there before, just like it's going to be Liosin Lovei. And that's the Indian of Yud Beis Tammuz. That has the power of changing. That's like the Shabbat that has the power of changing Shiva also B'Tammuz into a Indian of Geula. So the Rebbe learns, Lafi said, the Rebbe draws out a tremendous hedikat where he wrote that you've got to start living with the Geula. He said, from that we see that everything is moving in the direction of the Geula. So the Rebbe said, how are we going to bring this in such a way that it will actually be part of the world and will occur, but mamish, only if you live that way. You have to live mamish with the Indian of the Geula, and to prepare your daily life for that, you have to learn about the Indian of the Geula. He said, it has to be shurim and limud in Inyonei HaGeula. And he said that limud where you have to learn in Inyonei HaGeula is not just as Geula to say, oh, if I learn about it, then it says Geula, it'll help the Geula to come. This is it. He said, if you're learning all about Mashiach, that brings you to live with the whole Indian of Mashiach. I mean, the learning is like a part of the actual living, the Indian of the Geula. It's not just as Gula had like an elixir to help bring the Geula. It follows, Lafi said, that's the whole thing, that this is a whole new Yontav and a whole new Koyach of the Eliyasid Loveit, all of it. And if you keep Shiva also B'Tammuz that way, when it falls out on Shabbos, then you live it a whole different way. That gives the Koyach to come into the Yemei Bein HaTzorim and be mahabet them altogether. And he said, therefore, the big day of the Bein HaTzorim, which is Tisha B'Av, that falls out also on Shabbos, is a sign that you got the ability, both from the beginning and the end, to reverse it all together to the Koyach L'Yosik Lovei. And so the Rebbe says that indicates to us that as the generations go further, as we get closer to Moshiach, you have to be more busy with the Indian of Moshiach. And therefore he said that Davki in our days, it's a mitzvah to talk only about the positive aspect of everything, not the negative. That's what the Rebbe says inside in the Sicho. He said you must talk only about the milah of everything, not the chison. So he said whenever it comes a fast day, even if we still have to fast, the Rabbi said we have to see the Tov Shabbos, not the negative part of it. That became so much part of the whole Shitta of the Rebbe, that the Rebbe pulled up the amazing Indian, how everything was really a hachana to the Geulah. Even the fast days, Kibbutz Yosam, they taught Shiva also, Begematria. The Rebbe makes the point very clearly that you have to, as Marlene said, you have to see only the Maila and the connection with the Gula in everything that occurred, every in Torah and every in all the Yom Tov, and you see only the Torah and the positive. Stress that. Amen. And that will give people the clear to live that way, and therefore they'll be able to enter the Gula straight. It's a whole amazing way of looking at things. It's a whole amazing outlook, the whole Sicho. Just mind-blowing. The way the Rebbe thought, the whole case. Yeah, and then he said, Pirchei is Perek Shishi. That's by us also Perek Shishi. And he said, begins at Rabbi Meir Oima, Kolo Isha, Betoira, Zoichel Dvorim Harbe. And then it says, he becomes like this and he becomes like that. And so the Mephoshim say that's not really Dvorim Harbe, that's a few things. But what is Dvorim Harbe? So they say that Rabbi Meir was talking about something else. When he said Kolo Isa, but Zoichel Dvorim Harbe, that was one thing. And then he spoke about some other good things. It's good to be like this. It's good that Torah helps to be this way and that way. But Zoichel Dvorim Harbe is another thing. And he said, what is Dvorim Harbe? He said, everything is tremendous and everything is great. In other words, the positivity of the Geulah. And Rabbi Meir, he's the one who throws light. He says that you have to learn Torah in such a way. There's no limit to it. And that's the Achana to the Geulah Shleima. Hi, everybody. So I think that's pretty good. So we see the amazing chayas that the Rebbe, came into the whole Moshiach, Chaim. So we have to leave in a few minutes. So we're going to the Bar Mitzvah.
Before.
Huh?
Before.
Oh, yeah, before. I'm going to the Bar Mitzvah.
Opposite that.
Amichai.
Amichai?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Is this it?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Anyway, you go to your board. So, culture. Everybody's running away. I just wanted to mention that you're a Hamakot. His holiness was he worked for the Geulah. He was a cook in operating the Geulah. Huh?
I myself feel like one of my first morning is like very nice. Once you break on the morning and stuff, it's very nice to practice. Yeah, it's very like that. Yeah, it's very nice. Sure. Nice. Yeah. Chef.
It's tough.
Huh?
Mind-boggling. You taste it.
Here you go. Do you have any letters for me? Do you have any letters for me?
Okay. I just didn't get around to it.
Okay.
Be'ez Hashem.
I don't know when to work it out tonight.
straight up to Shabbos.
What's up?
That's good.
Fine. So we just want to mention that the Erech HaKodesh was also very much into the Gula Shlema, very much so. And the whole connection between the Baal Shem Tov and that they never met, but they knew about one another, and the Baal Shem Tov wanted to come here to visit the Erech. That's why he left Europe to come to Eretz Yisrael. And had he and the Erech HaKodesh met, then Tzfat and Tzforim, Moshe would have had to come.
Wow.
They would have brought them.
Sorry, I missed that. Can you say it again?
Oh,
Can you repeat it?
You didn't hear, didn't you?
I didn't hear.
you didn't hear?
The Ora Chaim said.
I'm saying that had the Baal Shem Tov and the Erech HaKodesh met, then it would have brought Moshe. And that's why there was a Kitra that the Baal Shem Tov couldn't make it. Because his ship went down at sea and it was amazing.
They said on the Orach Chaim that he was Mashiach.
Huh?
They said on the Orach Chaim that he was Mashiach.
Yeah, that's a further. It's brought down in Parshas Re'eh in Devarim, right at the end. Erech Chaim writes, Moshe's name is Chaim. That's what he said. And he's referring to himself. Yeah. So he was for sure a bechina of Moshe, if not Moshe of Mamish B'Poel Mamish. That's what he writes, Sheshmoi Chaim. Yeah, so there are a lot of people who have tried to avoid it, it's Mamish Maforish, that's what he said. Yeah. So we see a very open she'ifa, more with Geshet in all the works of the Erech HaKodesh, and there are places in his Pinchas where he even hints at what period in time, what years, between what years. He works from all sorts of angles on the Jerusalem. Yeah. Very close. And there are many places where he hints at the relationship of Moshe Rabbeinu to the Jewish people, that all the people are like branches from a great tree. The Moshe Rabbeinu is like a great tree, but we're like all branches that go out from him. In this week's, by the way, it's written that Moshe said to Hashem, Yifkoid Hashem Elokei, so Isha La'edo. Moshe asked, and so over there he writes that Moshe Rabbeinu is like the Neshama Klali is. Therefore he requested that there be something, as it were, in that Bechina to take over from Isha Sha'arua boy. The Eved said about Yeshua, he's a Isha Sha'arua boy. And the Sifri says, Yochel Aleches, Neged Ruche shall call Echad Ve'echad. He's able to, as it were, understand, find out, go into the neshama of each person. So that's a simon that he's worthy to replace Moshe Rabbeinu. Even though he was on a lower level, but he still had that great trait connected with it. And the Erech HaKodesh stresses that. So we see that there's a massive connection between what we learn and the Erech HaKodesh. So the Chaim goes
חיים, חיים.
בי בפייל ממש, אנטריקה בשמחה וטוב בי.
חיים, חיים. זכוס היוגן עלינו. זכוס היוגן.
טוב, כן.
חיים, חיים.
Okay, we're done. And screen? I'm